my career history. Short version. Went to school for mechanical engineering. Got my degree in mechanical engineering. My dad wanted me to be an engineer. I wanted to be a photographer. He went out, went to school for that, started work for an engineering company, then quickly gravitated towards their business development. Did that for 4 years, and then I started my own business as a graphic designer. I've been doing that for 40 years. Started in this, I'm going to jump over to a little bit of the technology. When I started in graphic design, it was in the days of what are called hot type. My emphasis, I know you guys are mostly working on computers now, or at least your assignment is for a computer version. My background is mostly in print technology. When I started, it was with what's called hot type, which was each page that was printed was cast into a single piece of lead, and then there was a mechanical process to produce it. In the 80s, I remember reading about computers would one day be available where you'll have a photograph on your computer, you'll have page layouts on your computer, you can marry them all together and just spit it right out. I read about that and I thought, not in my lifetime. Here we are. It's now the old mechanical way of doing things is totally gone. Now it's all new technology. My point here is what you are learning today, 20 years from now, you're going to talk about what you're doing today like the good old days. Like I'm talking about hot type and camera ready art and that type of thing. So before I even get started, now I want to explain my understanding of what your assignment is. I'd much rather talk about what you guys need to do as opposed to what I have done. You guys are going to be breaking down into teams, correct? How many people are on a team? Yell it
So
out.
our groups, in our class for the literary component, we have 3 to 5 students per group, so per novel.
Okay.
And how many novels do you have?
We have 5 novels. 5 novels.
Okay,
5
so basically
teams.
you've got 5 teams. Now, from what I've been able to learn about it's called SoundCloud.
That's just what we're loading up to today.
Okay, so you guys are going to you're going to read a book, produce a podcast that's in a number of chapters, and it's going to be presented on SoundCloud. The first thing I want to talk about is you start to think about these things. Let's even put the creative side to the side right now. You have to understand where this is going to be used. So it's like if you're writing a story, you have to know how the story ends before you can begin. You can't just start writing a story and not know where it's going. So the same is true with any creative aspect. You have to know where it's going to wind up. How is it going to be used? In your case, what you're creating is going to be used where? Nobody knows? You're doing a podcast. Where's it going to be used? Online. Which means what? No.
In the podcast.
What are you viewing it on?
Well, it's on SoundCloud.
Well, that's the application.
Well, the
Okay.
logo for the logo for the thing.
Physically, how is someone going to look at this thing? On a monitor, right? It's going to be on a monitor, on a computer monitor. Some computer monitors are rectangular, like that one in the back. Some are square. Where else is it going to be used? Where is it primarily? If you guys were going to podcast, how would you listen to it?
Say it louder, Alex.
On a phone.
On a phone, on an iPhone or on a tablet or on an Android phone. So now you're talking about a small screen or a tablet, a slightly bigger screen, a much bigger screen like that, or a big rectangular screen like that. But now I'm going to get back to each of these teams. You have to take what you're going to produce and gear it back to a book or a review. So are you going to present yourselves as an organization that just reviews books? You're going to present yourself as students? You need to decide, you need to create your own identity. Well, both of these ideas that you come up with, you're looking for images that are going to represent the book, which is certainly a viable way to go. But if you had to represent your team, what would you do?
Well,
As opposed to the book?
well, okay, well, for our team, like, we, like, have, like, a name for, like, our podcast.
Okay,
So it's, like, all of our, like, initials and
okay.
so probably, like, something like that. Like,
And how many are on your team?
one.
There's 4 of you on your team. Okay. Why not take, rather than talk about the book, what are your 4 letters?
P-A-A-I. But, like, we like it, like, as P-A-I.
And you used that in your planning yesterday. I
Yeah.
saw that and I was wondering what you came up with there, but
What was it? Y? I?
is that the names? Those are the first initials of the names.
Okay. You did something like that, used 4 colors, reverse the letters, you know what I mean by a reverse of the letter? When you reverse something, you have a colored background and the letter appears white. Or it appears, and now I don't even want to digress into color models, because you guys are working in an RGB color gamut, which is a red, green, blue. You're starting with a black screen. But in the case of a reverse, it's, for example, that's reverse out of the image. That little logo you see right there. That's a reverse. This type is all reversed. So when you have a colored background. So if you wanted to do something on your team, you know, now you can start to look at a letter form, maybe a bold sans serif letter. Sans serif means, you know, letter, you ever look at letters that have little feet on the bottom? That's a serif. That's a serif typeface. Typefaces are broken down into 2. There's serif and sans serif. Sans serif is a typeface that doesn't have little feet. It's just a straight letter.
In French means without, so that's where that comes from, without feet.
See, now I learned something today. So you could do something like that. That, you know, don't get too complex. If you look at a lot of those that we were looking at, when they got real small, you really couldn't tell what was in that square, could you? Just looked like a little blob of gray or black in most cases. So that's something to consider.
I guess think of it as that the circles we saw, which were big, but you're gonna still do it in a square dimension, because that's what SoundCloud makes you upload your cover art.
Yep.
But consider that your corners are gonna be wasted, because when people search for podcasts, that's how they came up with it.
Mhm. So you've got what I would call, you have a live area and you have a trim area. So in this particular case, if this is your trim area, the square is your trim area, this is your live area. So you want to keep all of your pertinent information inside the live area. So that would be that. In print, it's usually the margin around the edge of the page. Is, you know, you have the trim, which is the size of the page, and then the white area, the margins, is within those is called the live area.
We probably have time for at least one more question. I know we have a lot prepared, so what do we have going on?
Come on, you guys, don't be shy.
Mrs. Conklin, the singers' kids have cards in front of them. Paul, what's your card say?
What schools do you attend to become an artist, a graphic artist?
Little loud.
I didn't go
Little
to school.
louder, Paul.
Yes, what schools did I attend in graphic arts? I didn't go to school for graphic arts. I've attended 0 schools for graphic arts.
Can you still do that today, do you think?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, you know, most people, you know, they graduate from college, and how many really pursue, you know, I mean, my oldest son graduated with a degree in English, and I said, well, what are you gonna do? You can't look in the paper under W for writer. It just doesn't exist, you know. And now he's working in theater, so it's, you know, I mean, I went to school for mechanical engineering, went to Union College, went to Kane College, went to North College of Engineering.
Where'd you teach though, Mr. Vale?
I taught at Pasadena City College.
Where'd you teach?
I taught graphic design, computer-aided graphic design.
How do you like that?
but I was an adjunct professor, just taught the one class. It was while I had my own business. Pasadena City College employed a number of what they called adjuncts. They would get people who were working in their fields who would come in to teach one class. And that's what I did. But
All right, guys, Belle's gonna get us in like a few seconds. We thank Mr. Vale for coming and giving us a big chunk this morning. Appreciate that. We'll start connecting you now that you kind of have a bigger idea of where you're headed.